Yeah, we're gonna move on to the next segment and start the third and final segment for today, which is to hear from one of our customers. So we've invited Rob Gerard here, who's an infrastructure architect at Maples Fund Services, and he's going to tell you a little bit about what he was trying to do and what he was looking for, and why he picked Tintri. And again, open to any questions you might have. So Rob, thanks.
Thank you. Hey guys, I'm extremely nervous to be up here because I follow almost all of your blogs and you guys do great work. But
we don't bite. Let's be critical of him.
Well, Tintri reached out to me recently and asked if I just wanted to come and hang out with you guys. I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. So yesterday I'm on my flight on the second leg and they're like, well, you're going to present, right? I'm like, yeah, okay. So anyway, I flew in from Montreal yesterday, which is where I'm based, and I'm happy to be here. Spent the day geeking out with these guys, and I just want to give you my take on customer perspective of this. So if we back up to about a year and a half ago, I started working with Maples FS. I was in Toronto before that, moved to Montreal, and pas bien. But so I'm in Montreal, but data centers are scattered and our users are scattered globally. We're headquartered in Cayman, and our production main data center is in Dublin, and we've got different latency from all over the place. So we had 32 blades, so 2 C-class enclosures when I joined, and 16 of those were VMware standard, 32 gig host, average 7-to-1 consolidation ratio, EVA backend storage. There was contention all over the place, a lot of stability issues, and it needed a bit of reworking. I joined too late to have much input onto budget, so it was kind of already set at a top line, and the budget said, well, it's going to be for storage and for DR. Okay, great, but I'm going to need Enterprise Plus and all the cool features that I'm used to with VMware. And looking at that many sockets, there was no way that I could do that. So I stepped back again. So took what was allocated for storage and then just tried to look at everything holistically and sort of reinvent the whole infrastructure. So that was about a year ago. I kind of started the analysis, hit the analysis full-time sort of January, and now we are 100% virtualized in Dublin and in Cayman for a DR, new storage underneath it, and so those 32 blades went down to 3 DL385s, 16 core AMD, 2.6 gigahertz, 192 gigs RAM, which was based on VRAM at the time, why I stacked it, holding back my HA of 33%, and on the networking side, dropped in Brocade VDXs for an Ethernet fabric. Storage went with a Tintri in our production data center, a Nimble in our production data center to run Veeam off of, so I had enough horsepower to run my my clones and virtual labs and stuff out of there. And then another Tintri in Cayman with 2 servers there that can hold the 3-server load. Veeam running across and vCops layered across the top. Got in at a time where I knew they were going to be upgrading to enterprise, so I got the advanced, bought 3 years up front, and then had some license advantages there. So what was supposed to be a replacement for 20 terabytes of EVA storage, I thought, well, 20 terabytes, I should be able to run that inside of 12 terabytes, right? And so already everything was busting in every LUN. And quickly I found about 2 terabytes of space that I could get simply by thinning. All I needed was a little hole to get started, back and forth, a little S delete here and there. And then I freed up 2 terabytes to give us breathing room to get to the next budget cycle, and then replaced everything and did my final P2V in September. And the part that I forgot to tell you is that our C-classes in the EVA were on a lease that we would be locked into going forward with. And I thought that was an awesome opportunity to get off of all that hardware because I didn't think we needed it. So I run a 45-to-1 consolidation ratio. I have 0 contention across the environment. I'm holding back my reserves for HA. And my cluster compute for the 135 VMs or so, I'm getting close to the memory limit. I'm about 97% after you subtract your reserves. and I'm pushing about 40% on the CPU side. So without VRAM, I think that instead of adding a host, I may be able to actually stack that up a notch and throw in another chunk of memory. I've still got 8 DIMM slots free and go from there.
And Veeam replication satisfies your RTO?
And yes, so the Veeam is satisfying that. The initial sync was very tricky and took forever, and I wasn't in a position where I could just put it onto a device and ship it, and then hey, I've seeded it, because the pace at which things were P2Ving were being driven by different business things, and there was just a lot going on. So the environment that people work at, I've got 250 users globally that hit it across all time zones. So right now, Hong Kong's all over it, and all users are 100% Citrix. Now, the Citrix they're using is XenApp 5, so it's Windows 2003 with Office 2003 on it, with a 2010 plan, coming up. But I looked at everything and I was like, I could not make improvements when I started to any specific app. And if I put effort into it, there's only so much I could do on the existing infrastructure, because there was contention from all over, and contention I couldn't control, because we have a parent company too, mixed storage on the EVA. And even if I put SIOC across the VMware and had the Enterprise Plus across my 16 hosts, I would have not been able to control what other machines connected to that would be able to do in these huge disk groups. So I did too much analysis.
Before you put in new carpets.
So that's what I was thinking. I'm not going to paint the walls. I don't put the wallpapers up, hang the expensive picture. It keeps falling because of the cracks. And yeah, it's not great inside, but build from the ground up. And now I'm getting to the point where I can start to look and figure out why we're still running 2003 and that kind of thing, and move up the stack. But there's no point in doing that when there's too many things out of your control at the base. So that's the environment in a nutshell. All the users are on Citrix. XenApp 5, 2003, it's not fantastic. Now, one of the things that we got out of the Tintri that was very cool was this summer there was our main Citrix guy had a nice clean build, and it was UAT testing. We could put it in real fast, and because the other one was an old P2V and these things. So we had these 20 desktop servers for all the users, and we replaced them. Now, he didn't know anything about the Tintri that I'd put in. He knew it was there, but that was about the extent of it. So he just went along and built out a new template and then cloned it, made 20 of them, and we phased out the old ones. What he didn't know is he saved me about 450 gig on disk and then put everything in SSD. Thanks via AI, right? So he didn't need to know that when he deployed a template and just cloned anything, that he was creating intelligent links underneath. They're there. And so that's one of the factors of how you can get that 20 terabytes into the 12 tebibytes. At the time of analysis, I was at 8 tebibytes, and the way that I measured that is I looked at all the physical servers and all the VMs, so I used RV tools for the VMs, looked at the logical drives, counted up all data on disk logically, and said that's how much data there is. Screw overhead of how much I need for RAID and all the other things you got to factor and calculate, and then ended up, yeah, okay, 12 is going to do it. And then I figured out growth, industry averages are about 40%. I didn't have good metrics at the time. Here I am a year from that analysis, and it's 40%. And that 40% includes finding runaway things, thinning them out, doing some S-delete here and there, and keeping your capacity very efficient. But in doing all those things, I still hit about 40%. Now, if I didn't do that, it would have been higher. But even in trying to curb it and stuff, that's where I'm at. So I got through with the storage replacement, was able to change out all the servers and get all the Enterprise Plus features and all the things I want, layer the VCOPs, and now I have 100% virtualized environment, tons of visibility with VCOPs so that I can see what's going on, and probably most exciting is the visibility of the storage. So the per VM visibility that I have lets me sort of reverse engineer what's happening, what is my data, because I'm into a pretty new company, and I don't know what the end users are doing, and I'm really focusing on this lower layer. Any cloud provider would probably be the same. They have no idea what these VMs are doing inside. They have no rights to the VMs. They just know that Some of them are crazy busy, some of them aren't, and that can cause chaos in the environment. So what I thought would be cool is that in pretty much every demo and stuff that I see, you get to see a Tintri display, but it's always simulated data. So I'm RDP or Citrix through Dublin and an RDP later, and here's my production VM store, so that you can look at how does this thing work in real load. Now, if there's high latency numbers that Tintri would rather me not show, hey, I'm a customer, I'm getting hit with it. This is what it is. So there's 129 VMs running in here right now. I can look at my IOPS for the box, which is it is what it is. There's not the highest load of users right now. It's Hong Kong's on, and there's probably 45 users or so running on that. And so I look through and, oh, there's a spike. So what I can do is just mouse over this and click on it, and down the bottom here, now I got cut off, that says, that's an Oracle server for Luxembourg, and Luxembourg has, now I didn't choose this because I knew it was going to be this VM and I could tell you about this VM. Like, this is just, I'm finding out the same time as you guys are, like, hey, look at that, I got high reads on this. So that VM is an Oracle server, but in Luxembourg there's restrictions around your data, and it must be encrypted. So this was one of those B2Bs that was going to be a little tricky because there was BitLocker tied to a TPM chip. So what I ended up doing with it was B2B'd it and then moved the BitLocker over to a floppy, and then put the floppy over on another data store, because what BitLocker is going to do is protect it if somebody steals the array. Sitting here in memory, whether it's TPM chip or not, if somebody breaks into the box while it's online, they got full access to it. There's no encryption from that level. So when Veeam hits this, it hits it from the outside. Those backups are encrypted with the same thing. And what I found, and like any of the other VMs I have running, is that these BitLocker ones do some pretty weird things, because this server, Luxembourg's asleep right now, they're not working on it, and there's very little going on, and there's not much for jobs on this thing. There is not too much data on it, and there's just some funny behavior. So I would look at this and then say, you know what, if it is going to be hitting on my so at this point in time, the top 10 contributors to IOPS are right here, with 815 of them being accounted to with the that Luxembourg Oracle server. And these are desktop servers running Citrix apps, and then there's a lot of other Citrix published app servers in here. The mix of servers in here are pretty much everything. So I've got some Linux vApps, so vCops is a vApp, so that's running in here, and a couple other utility ones. vCenter is running in the same VM store. I've got 20 Citrix desktop servers that have Office and just sort of what you connect to and need. Published apps that come to it that are also in the same store. Exchange 2010 is sitting in here with a DAG over to the Nimble, so not just Veeam. I put another node there so I could run a DAG locally, plus a third DAG down to Cayman where our DR box sits. I've got file servers, a couple Oracle servers, lots of SQL servers, IIS servers, web-facing, custom apps. It's just a big mix of stuff in here. So if I wanted to see more about that one VM, now what's pretty cool here is when you just come down and mouse over, I don't know if you can read that, but 50.9% of the total IOPS in the box at this point in time are made up of the top 10, which is probably pretty normal when you take like 80-20 rule into things, that your top hitters are going to consume more storage than anything else. So of the other 118 VMs in here, they have 50%, and these 10 have the other 50% at this point in time. So I can click into that one VM. Might take a second, either from latency or whatever. And what it will show me is that the VM itself has this pattern going on. And so what do I do with this? I jump into Windows and I grab Procmon and I figure out what's going on. So now I have visibility into the storage to catch problems nobody's complained about and start to clean my environment from the ground up, understand more about my data, understand what's normal, and keep it running as smooth as possible. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I can look at any of my VMs, and I can look at their, oops, that's not the one I wanted, that one. I can look at latency and sort that from a top down. I can look at this pretty cool, yeah, and so the green is, that's in the host where delay is happening.
Okay.
And why that's happening right now, sitting here, I can't really tell you, but I can take this information, investigate, and figure that out. And I can see if this is based on that one VM, if I go over to latency on it, get rid of this bottom one. Now this one I know for a fact is a snoozer. This one does not do too much. So there's a good chance that some of these high latency values are for servers that are doing nothing. These ones are doing nothing. In terms of IOPS, it's running at, it's flatline under one. It's barely measurable. So that I think skews the latency results. But the latency that it says that it has is attributed to the host, because it's green. And I can see things like %IO aligned, which is really cool for my Windows 2003 P2Vs, or storage vMotions from the other stuff. Because instead of going into the OS and fixing them, I just let the storage do it for me and get the performance gains that you would normally get by having that thinned out, or not thinned out, the blocks aligned. Snapshotted, and I could sort by alignment, and oops, I think it's going to be hide this. So 100% realignment on these servers here, where it would normally be taking those penalties of being misaligned, but instead it's just been aligned for me. I mean, you guys are a super technical crowd, and I'm not going to tell you that VMware is awesome or this is awesome, because you guys, I mean, I learned a lot from you guys, so thanks for having me here, but I'm open to questions.
So what do you do with all your time now?
You still got to figure out the terminal servers running 2003.
Exactly. So now I can start to spend all that time higher up and do the stuff that matters, that actually looks different on the user's screen. Everything I've done is invisible to them. All they know is it's stable now, and they get a consistent experience, but I haven't done anything flashy to change. And maybe I should have pulled out the lipstick, put it on the pig first, but I wanted to get it nice from the ground up, and then just show them nice, stable environment.
Very nice. Thanks.
Perfect, thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.